I get fired, I would not work for anybody else. It's like, are you serious? It's very flawed. It's a very flawed promo. And even Daniel Bryan took offense to it because he said, yeah, if you're passionate about wrestling, you go out and you do something. You just decide to go out and continue being passionate about it. You don't just give up right away after WWE fires you. I mean, Daniel Bryan even went on saying that he got fired twice and he still went out and got over more than what he did in WWE. Honestly, agree. I mean, so many people got let go, and look at them now. I mean, Ethan Carter III is the best example, the new number one contender for the world title, and he's doing so much better than what he was back in WWE and NXT. Granted, he was a very funny guy, but he didn't really do that much. They didn't let him shine. That's the problem. But this ultimately led up to Cena and Styles facing off and announcing that there's going to be a matchup at SummerSlam. So we get to see John Cena versus AJ2 at SummerSlam. I think the odds are that John Cena is probably going to win, which I'm not looking forward to. So, yeah. This will probably be a very interesting SummerSlam. It'll probably be very emotionally written. Also, they've announced a new number one contender for the Intercontinental title because there was a triple threat match between it's Kalisto, I should say. Kalisto, Baron Corbin, and Apollo Crews, where Apollo Crews won, and he will challenge The Miz for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam. But the interesting part about this is that what happened at the end, in which we saw Baron Corbin take out Apollo Crews, as well as The Miz. And honestly, you guys, that's a statement right there. If they gave the opportunity to Baron Corbin to be the next Intercontinental Champion, this would be a great time to put the title on him. I'm sorry, but Baron Corbin probably deserves the title more than Apollo Crews right now. But odds are they're probably not going to give it to him. I want to love Apollo Crews, but at the same time, he just doesn't seem to have that kind of character. He doesn't really seem to mesh well with the fans. He's not one of those guys that I can get behind. His wrestling is great, but his character is just really flawed. He's always smiling, and he's always just happy-go-lucky kind of guy. It's like, this is not working out. I mean, it worked well for Rocky Maivia for a while, but then look at what the fans did to him. They booed him. And that was not one of the good things that happened to him. Anyway, so that's SmackDown. And, oh boy. I mean, honestly, you guys, do I want to go into the whole rebooking of Roman Reigns? Yeah, why not? I already said I would. So let's talk a bit about what happened with Roman Reigns from 2014 all the way till present day. So Roman Reigns was apparently injured, and he got Superstar of the Year at the Slammy Awards in 2014. Some people thought it was not a good decision to make. Other people thought, well, I guess if that's the way the fans wanted it. The thing that was interesting about this was that they really made it so obvious when it came to Roman Reigns' deal. They put him in the world title picture for the majority of that year, having him win the Rumble, come so close at WrestleMania but failing, having him fight at the Payback Fatal 4-Way matchup, which included Seth Rollins, him, Randy Orton, and Dean Ambrose, which was still a great matchup. Having him go into a feud with Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, as well as finally win the title at Survivor Series before ultimately losing it to Sheamus and then getting it back, and then losing it to Triple H in the Royal Rumble match, and then winning it back at WrestleMania. Very, very, very flawed indeed, because the fans knew it was coming. The fans were just not in that right mindset where they're thinking, like, let's get behind Roman Reigns. They were not having any of it. So here's what I probably would have done. So here's where you can make some kind of graphic or be like, change the F up. Roman Reigns push. Yes, that's as good as you're going to get with that. Anyway, so we start off actually at the 2015 Royal Rumble. We're not going to have Roman Reigns be on television from the Slammiversaries until the Royal Rumble. They can make a little promo package saying, hey, he's going to be in the Royal Rumble. So the fans are going to know, oh boy, here we go. He's going to win the Rumble. He'll enter in at number 27, dominate. He'll just throw 1, 2, 3, 5 people out in there. And it gets down to the final 4. It gets down to Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, and Daniel Bryan. How I would have booked it is that Roman Reigns makes it down to the final 2, and it seems like he's just about to win it. However, the Authority comes out, and they basically stop Roman Reigns from throwing him off. Roman Reigns is saying, come on, let's go. So, he's talking to probably Kane, Rollins, Big Show, that kind of deal. And next thing you know, Triple H comes from behind, throws Roman over the top rope. Daniel Bryan wins the Royal Rumble. And now, this is not one of those things where it says Daniel Bryan is going to turn. No. This is one of the things where Daniel Bryan wins. It's more going to have a feud to deal with Roman Reigns and Triple H, because the seeds were already planted right there. Because like Roman Reigns said in his promo the previous year, he was saying, the problem is that Seth, you're the only minor bit of the problem. The other problem is Randy Orton and Triple H. So you really want to capitalize on that. He's already beaten Seth Rollins. He's already beaten Randy Orton. The only other person he really needs to beat is Triple H. So you build up Triple H versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 31. And then you have Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31 in the main event, which we will talk about in just a little bit. But the build-up here is that basically Roman Reigns has to go through a gauntlet at Fastlane. He has to earn his way to that spot against Triple H. So he has to go through, boom, he goes through Kane, boom, he goes through Big Show. He finds a way to narrowly escape Seth Rollins. And then finally, the final person that he has to go through is Randy Orton. Now, the reason why it would be Randy Orton is because some people think, oh, he's still going to be an Authority kind of guy. Randy Orton gets in the ring. He's about ready to do the RKO when he slaps the referee. And the referee calls for the bell, ding, ding, ding. And Randy Orton ensures that Roman Reigns is going to fight Triple H at WrestleMania. And this also will set up a little bit of a feud between Seth Rollins and Randy Orton, because that was a matchup that was great and needed to stay that way. It worked out perfectly. And the thing is that now that Daniel Bryan's not going to win the Intercontinental title, who's going to win it? Dean Ambrose. That's the way I see it. I think Dean Ambrose was the next logical choice because he was the one that started this whole thing. So why not have him be the guy who changes it up? Why not? So we fast forward again to WrestleMania, which we have Triple H versus Roman Reigns. Build-up's great, and people are going to be firmly behind Roman Reigns because they can't stand the Authority. They can't stand Triple H. It makes the most sense. Now, I know a lot of people would have loved to have seen Sting versus Triple H that year. The thing is, though, I was not too highly into it, really. I think that the best way to capitalize on this kind of deal is to have some of the best matches. You have Roman Reigns versus Triple H. You have Dean Ambrose winning the Intercontinental title ladder match. And you also would have The Undertaker versus Sting at that WrestleMania. It would make the most sense. It would make perfect sense to have, Sting come back in the WWE. And even if he were to lose to The Undertaker, it would still be a great matchup between the two. They can save Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt for a matchup down the road. Maybe have him lose to Bray at Survivor Series, because that would make the most sense. I think it would drive that much more of an impact than at WrestleMania. So Roman Reigns beats Triple H just barely, because they have that whole, there must be a winner by pinfall or submission deal. So it's basically no disqualifications. They're beating the hell out of each other. Roman Reigns capitalized with a massive spear. 1, 2, 3. And Triple H is slain by Roman Reigns. And you do not have the whole thing with Rock and Triple H, because regardless of the fact that people are thinking, that would have been a great moment, it was, but it just didn't really make too much sense. But you could still put Ronda Rousey into that matchup. You could still have Stephanie somehow get involved, and Ronda is the equalizer, basically, that takes Stephanie out of that equation. So you could still do that, and you could still tease a little bit of Ronda Rousey versus Stephanie McMahon. You could still do it at SummerSlam. Why not? So then we go on to the main event, which is the Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan. That matchup is somewhat one-sided, but Daniel Bryan finds a way to hold his own. But Seth Rollins capitalizes, and he beats Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship by cashing in. You still have the heist of the century. Works out perfectly. Because then you're also going to have another great heel in Seth Rollins. Because when people saw Seth Rollins beat Roman Reigns, they were cheering for him. Well, now that they have Seth Rollins beat Daniel Bryan, you're going to have a guaranteed guy who's going to have massive heat. So why not capitalize off of that? And during this whole entire deal, I'm talking basically from WrestleMania all the way till Royal Rumble, you have Roman Reigns come very close to getting that number one contendership shot, getting very close to becoming the champion. He goes into a number one contendership match and unfortunately loses to Randy Orton for the number one contendership match at Extreme Rules. And, Roman still goes on to face Big Show in a last man standing match because you're kind of delaying time so that way he's not getting pushed to the moon. So you're kind of like building him up. And while you're doing this, you're also making Roman Reigns look like, you're kind of giving him a little bit of pity, but at the same time, you're making it so that he doesn't just get pushed to the moon. You're kind of making it just one of those things where it's like brick by brick, the Roman Empire's rebuilding itself. So you're having him lose these number one contendership matches, but you also have him do these great matches at the pay-per-views. So have him beat, Big Show, have him beat, Bray Wyatt, a couple, maybe like once, but that's about it. Have him beat, quite a few of these top guys. You could have him face Cesaro. They could have a great matchup there. And unfortunately, we will fast forward just a little bit more because I want to talk about the whole thing that happens with Seth Rollins. That injury will still unfortunately happen. There was no warning. There was no way to change it really. So they go into the tournament, and of course, nothing really changes. It's Dean Ambrose versus Roman Reigns for the title at Survivor Series in the finals. But the thing is that Roman Reigns loses to Dean. 1, 2, 3. Dean is the WWE champion because the fans are going to go ballistic. They're going to go crazy. And Roman Reigns is thinking, I came so close. I could have had it. Roman Reigns, admits defeats. He shakes Dean's hand, lifts his hand up, saying he was the better man tonight. And Roman, leaves the ring. Sheamus cashes in on Dean. Dean and Sheamus have a feud going all the way through Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns again, tries to find his way into the number one contendership spot, but he also has to deal with the League of Nations, who will be a little more of a force to be reckoned with this time around. So thankfully there's that. So we fast forward to Royal Rumble. Roman Reigns is going to be in the matchup. And he will indeed win the Royal Rumble that year. I think that by that point he will have a great following. He will have enough popularity for the fans to think, oh, he deserves it. He's been screwed so many times, and he deserves to face off the champion. And who will be the champion? That's decided at Fastlane, in which we see Sheamus defend against Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar just ends up destroying Sheamus, destroying the League of Nations, looking like a complete badass, and wins the title again. And it is Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, with Brock going in as the heel. He is the authority guy. He is the guy that they are pushing him to the moon. And Roman Reigns is the guy that they want to be dethroned. They try and throw everything at him, but Roman Reigns finds a way, and he beats Brock Lesnar 1, 2, 3 in the main event of WrestleMania 32, and becomes the WWE Championship for the first time. That is how I would have changed that complete F-up that they did with Roman Reigns. If you guys like it, let me know what you guys think. And let me know if you have any other ideas that you would have, whether it be in the comment section below on YouTube, comment section below here on Spreaker.com, or even on our page, Facebook.com/Squared Circle Productions, guys. I am Nate the Effing Great, just reminding you that when it comes down to it, you have three options. you have three options when it comes to me. You can either shut